She was a kind black waitress who lost her job for helping an old woman. 30 minutes later arrived her son, who was the most dangerous Korean mafia boss in the city. The coffee pot slipped from Lena Morrison's trembling hands, shattering across the white tile floor of Angelo's diner. Brown liquid spread like a crime scene stain while her manager, Rick Castellano, stood in the doorway of his office, red-faced and pointing toward the exit. She couldn't hear his exact words over the lunchtime din, but she'd learned to read his lips over 3 years of working here. "You're done. Get out. Now." 30 minutes earlier, everything had been normal. Well, normal for a Tuesday afternoon in South Central LA. The usual mix of regulars, tourists who'd wandered too far from downtown, and locals who came for the cheap coffee and stayed for the gossip. Lena had been working a double shift, her feet aching in the cheap sneakers she couldn't afford to replace, when the old Korean woman had shuffled in. She was tiny, maybe 4'10", with silver hair pulled into a neat bun and clothes that had seen better decades. Her hands shook as she counted coins at the counter. Quarters, dimes, nickels spread across the formica like a desperate mathematics problem. Lena had watched from the coffee station as the woman's face crumpled with the realization that she was 47 cents short of the cheapest breakfast special. "I'm sorry," the old woman had said in heavily accented English, gathering her coins with dignity that broke Lena's heart. "I come back later. Maybe tomorrow." But Lena had seen that look before, in her grandmother's eyes 3 years ago, before the eviction notice, in her mother's face when choosing between electricity and groceries, in her own mirror on too many mornings. It was the look of someone whose tomorrow might not come, or might come with even emptier pockets. "Wait," Lena had called out, glancing toward Rick's office. He was on the phone, distracted by whatever betting line he was following. She'd rung up the breakfast special, then quietly added eggs, extra bacon, fresh fruit, and orange juice. Slid the ticket into her own apron pocket and carried the full plate to the old woman's booth. "On the house, grandmother. Please eat." The woman's eyes had filled with tears. She'd taken Lena's hand in her papery grip and said something in rapid Korean, then switched to broken English. "You have kind heart. My son, he always say the good people left in this world. You prove him right." She'd patted Lena's cheek with surprising strength. "Good things come to good people. You see?" Lena had smiled, topped off the woman's water, and thought nothing more of it. Just another act of quiet rebellion against a system designed to punish people for the crime of being poor and old and hungry. She'd been doing it for months. A meal here, a coffee there. Always careful, always small enough that the inventory wouldn't show major discrepancies. But this time, she hadn't been careful enough. Rick had finished his call, come out for his routine floor check, and caught the old woman eating a meal that wasn't on any ticket. He'd confronted Lena immediately, in front of everyone, his voice carrying across the diner like a megaphone. "You think you can just give away my food, my inventory? You think this is a fucking charity?" She was hungry, Rick. She's an old woman. I don't care if she's the Queen of England. You don't have the authority to give away anything in this establishment. You're fired, effective immediately. And now here she was, her uniform still on, her apron in her hands, walking past customers who wouldn't meet her eyes. The old woman tried to stand, tried to protest in broken English, but Lena shook her head gently. "It's okay, grandmother. I'll be fine." A lie, but a kind one. Outside, the afternoon sun hit like a physical blow. Lena leaned against the diner's brick wall, reality crashing down in waves. No job, rent due in 6 days, student loans in default, her car payment 3 weeks late. The careful house of cards she'd built over 3 years of double shifts and saved pennies collapsing with one act of decency. She pulled out her phone, screen cracked, held together with a case from the dollar store, and started scrolling through job apps. Anything, everything. Fast food, retail, night shifts, weekend work. She'd done it all before, could do it again. Being a 26-year-old black woman with some college but no degree meant you learned to hustle, learned to survive, learned that kindness was a luxury you couldn't always afford. "Excuse me." The voice was male, deep, with an accent that made the simple English words sound like poetry. Lena looked up and forgot how to breathe. The man standing before her was Korean, late 20s, and so beautiful it was almost offensive. Tall, maybe 6'2", unusual for a Korean man, with sharp features that could have been carved from marble. His black hair was styled in that effortlessly perfect way that probably took an hour and cost more than her weekly paycheck. He wore a charcoal suit that screamed custom tailoring, a black shirt underneath with the top button undone, and shoes so polished they reflected the sun. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Dark, intense, absolutely furious. "You're the waitress who helped my mother," he said. Not a question. A statement delivered with the precision of someone used to being obeyed. "Your mother?" Lena's mind raced. The old woman. Of course. "Is she okay? Did something—" "She called me crying. Said a beautiful black angel gave her food when she couldn't pay. Then said that same angel was fired for showing kindness." His jaw clenched visibly. "Where is the manager?" "Look, it's fine. I don't need—" "It's not fine." He moved closer, and Lena caught the scent of expensive cologne and something else. Danger, maybe, or power. "My mother is crying in my car because she feels responsible for your termination. That is very much not fine. Sir, I appreciate the concern, but I can find another job. Please don't worry your mother. She didn't do anything wrong. Neither did you." His eyes held hers. "You showed compassion to an elderly woman who was hungry and embarrassed, and you were punished for basic human decency. That requires correction." Before Lena could respond, he strode past her into the diner. She scrambled to follow, her heart hammering. Through the window, she saw him approach Rick at the register. Saw Rick's expression shift from annoyance to confusion to something that looked like fear. The conversation was brief. The man, she still didn't know his name, spoke quietly, never raising his voice. But whatever he said made Rick go pale, made his hands shake as he nodded rapidly, made him pull out his phone and make a call, voice urgent, before turning to look at Lena through the window. The man emerged, adjusting his cufflinks with casual elegance. "You start back in the morning. Same position, 20% raise, and Mr. Castellano will be treating you with appropriate respect going forward." "What did you say to him?" Lena demanded. "I explained the situation from a business perspective." A slight smile touched his lips. "And perhaps mentioned that Angelo's Diner sits on property owned by someone who owes me considerable favors, and that it would be unfortunate if their lease renewal encountered complications." "You threatened him." "I incentivized better behavior." He extended his hand. "Sun Hyunju. My mother is Sun Jia. And you are—" Lena Morrison." She took his hand and electricity shot up her arm at the contact. His grip was firm, warm, and lasted a beat longer than professionally necessary. "Thank you for what you did. But you didn't have to." "Yes, I did. My mother raised me to protect those who show kindness to our family. You helped her when she was vulnerable. That creates an obligation." His eyes searched her face like he was memorizing every detail. "Though I'll admit, my mother's description didn't do you justice." Heat flooded Lena's cheeks. She was probably exaggerating. Old ladies do that. "She said you were beautiful." She was being modest. The words were delivered matter-of-factly, like he was commenting on the weather, but they hit Lena with physical force. "Have dinner with me, tonight." "I what?" "Dinner. To thank you properly for helping my mother. She'd want me to do it right. Proper gratitude, Korean style, which involves excessive food and sincere appreciation." This was insane. Men who looked like Sun Hyun-ju didn't ask women like Lena Morrison to dinner. Men in $1,000 suits didn't rescue waitresses. Real life didn't work like some romance novel where the prince noticed the servant girl. "I don't think that's a good idea," Lena said carefully. "I appreciate what you did, but I don't even know you. You don't know me, and I'm not really in a place right now to—" "To what? Accept kindness in return?" His head tilted slightly. "You gave my mother food when she couldn't pay. You risked your job. You showed grace. Allow me to show gratitude. It's just dinner, Miss Morrison, not a marriage proposal." "Yet," added an elderly voice. Lena turned to see the old woman, Sun Jia, emerging from a sleek black Mercedes parked at the curb. She moved slowly but purposefully, coming to stand beside her son. "Not marriage proposal yet. First dinner. Then we see." "Iyama," Hyun-ju said, a note of fond exasperation in his voice. "You're not helping. I help plenty. This girl, she has good heart. You need good heart in your life. Too much darkness." Jia turned to Lena, taking both her hands. "Please, come to dinner. My son, he is good man. Complicated, yes. Dangerous business, yes, but good heart." Like you. Dangerous business. The words hung in the air like a warning. Lena looked at Hyunju, really looked, and saw what she'd missed before. The way he carried himself, not just confident, but lethal. The subtle bulge under his left arm that might be a weapon. The way his eyes constantly scanned their surroundings, cataloging threats. The deference in Rick's fear. "What do you do, Mr. Sun?" Lena asked quietly. "Import-export. Family business." The answer was smooth, practiced. "We handle logistics for various enterprises throughout Southern California." That's a very polite way of saying something impolite, isn't it? A flash of surprise crossed his features, followed by something that might have been respect. "You're perceptive. I'm from South Central. I know how to read between lines." Lena crossed her arms. "So what's the truth? Are you a gangster? Mafia? What am I getting into if I say yes to dinner?" Hyunju glanced at his mother, who nodded encouragingly. He sighed, running a hand through his perfect hair. "My family controls certain unofficial operations in LA's Korean community. Protection, gambling, import businesses that don't always follow traditional customs regulations. Americans call it the Korean Mafia. We call it family business." "So you're a crime boss." "I prefer entrepreneur with flexible ethics." A slight smile. "But yes, essentially. Does that change your answer?" "It should. Any sane woman would walk away right now. Thank him politely, decline the dinner, go back to her safe, boring, law-abiding life." But Lena had learned something living in South Central, watching her neighborhood get swallowed by gentrification, while police ignored crimes against black folks but arrested kids for loitering. Legality didn't equal morality. The system wasn't designed to protect people like her. Sometimes survival meant making alliances in gray areas. "One dinner," Lena said. "Public place. I drive myself there and back." Yunju's smile was genuine this time, transforming his severe features. "Agreed. I'll text you the address. What's your number?" As Lena rattled off her digits, watching him save them in a phone that probably cost more than her monthly rent, she wondered what the hell she was doing. But then she caught Jia's expression, pure joy mixed with relief, and remembered she'd fed a hungry old woman. Everything else was just consequences. The restaurant was in Koreatown, tucked into a building that looked nondescript from the outside, but opened into elegance inside. Traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern design, low tables, floor cushions, but also contemporary art on the walls, and soft lighting that made everything glow. Lena had changed into her only good dress, a simple black number she'd bought for her cousin's wedding 2 years ago, and spent an hour on makeup, trying to look like she belonged in places like this. She felt out of her depth the moment she walked in. Hyunju stood as she approached, and Lena's breath caught again. He changed into casual clothes, dark jeans, a black button-down, leather jacket, and somehow looked even more dangerous than in the suit. Less corporate predator, more actual predator. "You came," he said, pulling out her chair. "You sound surprised. I thought you might research me, find reasons to stay away." He sat across from her, candlelight casting shadows across his sharp features. "Most people do, once they know what I am." "I did research you," Lena admitted, or tried to. "Found a lot of rumors, not much proof. Korean-American businessman with family ties to organized crime. No arrests, no convictions, but plenty of speculation. Either you're very good at what you do or very good at covering it up. Both." He poured tea with practiced grace. "I learned early that survival requires two things: competence and discretion. My father had competence but lacked discretion. It got him killed when I was 19. The casual mention of his father's murder should have sent Lena running. Instead, she found herself asking, how? Rival organization. They thought eliminating him would destabilize our operations, create opportunity for takeover. Hyunju's expression went cold. They were wrong. I was studying business at UCLA when I got the call, came home, consolidated power within 72 hours, and spent the next year systematically destroying everyone involved in his death. That's terrifying? Brutal? Yes. He met her eyes directly. I won't lie to you, Lena. I've done things that would horrify most people, things I'm not proud of but won't apologize for. My world is violent and complicated and morally gray, but it's also the world that provides for hundreds of families. That protects our community when police don't care. That gives people like my mother dignity and safety. That's a convenient justification. It's the truth. He leaned forward. Korean immigrants in LA exist in the margins. Too foreign for white America. Too affluent for Black and Latino alliances. Vulnerable to everyone. My father built an organization that protects our people. I've spent 9 years expanding and legitimizing it. Half our operations are completely legal now. The other half, he shrugged. Rome wasn't built in a day. The food arrived, wave after wave of dishes Lena couldn't name. Bulgogi, japchae, kimchi varieties, grilled fish, soup, banchan covering every inch of table space. Hyunju explained each dish, guided her through eating methods, watched her reactions with intensity that made her skin tingle. You're staring, Lena said, spearing a piece of beef. You're beautiful. Staring is involuntary. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. You have the most expressive eyes I've ever seen. And your smile, the real one, not the customer service version you wore at the diner, could stop traffic. Heat crawled up Lena's neck. You're very direct. Life's too short for games. I saw you help my mother with such genuine kindness, no hesitation, no expectation of reward. And then I saw you lose your job because of it, and something in me just... He made a gesture like an explosion. I wanted to know everything about you, wanted to understand how someone maintains that level of compassion in a world designed to punish it. Maybe I'm just stupid, too naive to know better. No, you're brave. There's a difference. His hand moved across the table, fingertips barely touching hers. Stupidity is unconscious. Bravery is choosing kindness, despite knowing the cost. You knew Rick might catch you. You did it anyway. That's strength, not weakness. Lena looked at their almost touching hands and felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crack. Why do I feel like you're dangerous? Not because of your job. Because of this. Whatever this is. Because I am dangerous. And so are you. His fingers traced the back of her hand, feather-light. You're dangerous to every wall I've built, every defense mechanism I've constructed. I've spent 9 years being nothing but my position. The boss, the protector, the strategist. And then you fed my mother scrambled eggs and smiled at her like she mattered. And suddenly I remembered what it feels like to be human. That's a lot of pressure to put on scrambled eggs. He laughed, a real sound, surprised and genuine. My mother was right. You're funny, and honest, and completely unexpected. They talked for hours. Lena shared her story, growing up in South Central, watching her neighborhood change. Her grandmother who raised her after her mother overdosed when Lena was 12. The foster homes after grandmother died. Aging out of the system at 18 with nothing but a high school diploma and determination. Community college until money ran out. The diner job that barely kept her afloat but was better than the alternatives. You're a survivor, Hyunju said softly when she finished. I'm broke and barely treading water. Not exactly inspirational. You're 26 and alive and kind despite everything life threw at you. That's more impressive than anything I've accomplished with all my resources. You run an empire. I inherited an infrastructure and followed a blueprint. You built yourself from nothing. His eyes held hers. Don't diminish that achievement. When the meal ended, Hyunju walked her to her car, a 15-year-old Honda with mismatched panels and a coat hanger antenna. He didn't comment on it, just made sure she was safely inside before leaning down to her window. I want to see you again, he said. I start back at the diner tomorrow. You could visit your mom again, let her accidentally need help with something. I want to see you outside the diner. I want to know everything about you. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. I want things I have no right to want after one dinner. Like what? Like waking up next to you. Like hearing about your day over coffee. Like introducing you to my organization as something more than just the woman who helped my mother. He laughed bitterly. See? Dangerous, I told you. Lena should have driven away, should have thanked him for dinner, called it a nice evening, moved on with her life. Instead, she found herself saying, I'm off Sunday. If you wanted to do something casual, not this, she gestured at the elegant restaurant, something normal. His smile could have powered the city. Sunday, I'll show you my favorite place in LA. Wear comfortable shoes. He stepped back and Lena drove away, watching him disappear in her rearview mirror. Her phone buzzed immediately. Unknown number. Thank you for tonight, for giving me something to look forward to, for being you. H.J. Lena stared at the text, her heart hammering. What was she doing? Dating, if that's what this was, a Korean mafia boss? A man who admittedly killed people? Who lived in a world of violence and crime? A man so far above her economic reality, they might as well be different species. But then she remembered his eyes when he talked about his mother, the gentleness in his hands as he'd poured tea, the way he'd looked at her like she was precious, like she mattered. Like feeding one hungry old woman made her someone worth knowing. Maybe she was stupid. Maybe this would end in disaster. But Lena had spent her whole life being careful, being sensible, playing it safe. And where had it gotten her? A diner job, a falling apart car, an apartment she could barely afford. She texted back, "Thank you for dinner, and for seeing me. Not just looking, but actually seeing. It's been a while." Sunday sounds perfect. His response was immediate. "I'll pick you up at 10. And Lena, I see you. All of you. And I like everything I see." Sunday morning arrived bright and unseasonably cool. Lena changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans, a soft yellow sweater, and sneakers. Comfortable but cute. She'd learned the previous night that Hyun-ju was observant. He'd notice effort but appreciate practicality. He arrived exactly at 10, driving a different car this time. A dark blue Range Rover, still expensive, but less ostentatious than the Mercedes. He wore jeans and a black Henley, aviator sunglasses hiding those intense eyes, and looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine ad. "Ready for an adventure?" he asked as she climbed in. "Depends on your definition of adventure. If it involves gunfights or high-speed chases, I'm out." He laughed. "No violence, I promise. Just LA's best-kept secret." They drove north, through neighborhoods that got progressively nicer until they reached Griffith Park. But instead of the main observatory area, Hyun-ju took a narrow side road that wound up the mountain. They parked at an unmarked trailhead. "We're hiking?" Lena asked. "Only about a mile. Trust me, it's worth it." The trail was steep but manageable, winding through chaparral and oak trees. Hyun-ju stayed close without hovering, occasionally offering a hand over rough patches. They didn't talk much, just moved through dappled sunlight and the smell of sage. Then the trail opened onto a small clearing, and Lena understood. The view was breathtaking. All of Los Angeles spread below them like a living map. Downtown skyline to the east, the ocean glinting to the west, the sprawl of neighborhoods between. But it was private, hidden, theirs alone. "My father brought me here," Hyun-ju said, settling onto a flat rock. "When I was young and angry about being different, about being Korean in an American city, too foreign for one world, too American for another, he'd bring me up here and say, 'Look at all of it, Hyun-ju. All those people, all those lives. Everyone struggling, everyone fighting. You're not alone. You're just learning to find your place.'" Lena sat beside him, their shoulders touching. "Did you find it? Your place?" "I thought I had. Built an organization, gained respect, became someone people feared and followed. But sitting here with you, I realize I've just been surviving, not living, just existing in a role I inherited." "Why are you telling me this? You barely know me." "Because you're the first person in 9 years who looks at me and doesn't see the position, who sees Sun Hyun-ju, not the Kang family boss, who fed my mother without knowing she's connected to the most powerful Korean organization in LA. He turned to face her fully. "You saw an old woman who was hungry. That's it. Pure, uncomplicated kindness. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Your world sounds lonely. It is, profoundly. Everyone wants something from me. Protection, money, favors, permission. Even my closest lieutenants see me as a resource, not a person. But you..." He reached out, tucking a curl behind her ear. "You want nothing from me except honesty, and somehow that makes me want to give you everything." Lena's breath caught at the intimacy of the gesture, the raw vulnerability in his eyes. "Hyun-ju, I'm a waitress who lives paycheck to paycheck. You run a criminal empire. This doesn't make sense. Nothing about us makes sense, and I don't care." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I've spent my entire adult life being careful, strategic, emotionally distant. And then you happened, like a bomb going off in my carefully controlled existence." "I'm not a bomb." "You're absolutely a bomb. You've detonated every defense mechanism I have. One act of kindness to my mother, And I'm sitting on a mountain telling you things I've never told anyone, wanting things I have no business wanting, feeling things I thought I'd buried with my father. What are you feeling? Hope. The word was barely a whisper, and terror, because hope makes you vulnerable, and vulnerability in my world gets you killed. But Lena, when I'm with you, I don't care about the risk. I just want more of whatever this is. She should run, should protect herself from inevitable heartbreak. Instead, Lena found herself leaning into his touch, into the moment, into the possibility. I feel it too, this insane pull toward you. And it scares the hell out of me because men like you don't end up with women like me. This has disaster written all over it. Or it has destiny written all over it. His other hand came up to cup her face, and Lena felt her pulse racing. I don't believe in fate, but I believe in this. In you. In us. There is no us. There's one dinner and one hike. Then let there be more. Let there be dinners and hikes and conversations and all the mundane beautiful things I thought I'd never have. Let me take you to places I've never shown anyone. Let me learn everything about you. Let me... Lena kissed him, mostly to shut him up, partly because she could not kiss him anymore. His lips were soft, surprised at first, then responding with controlled intensity that made her toes curl. One hand slid into her hair, the other settled at the small of her back, pulling her closer. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Hyunju rested his forehead against hers. That was either the best idea or the worst idea. Definitely worst, Lena whispered. But I don't care. Good, because I'm going to kiss you again, and again, and probably not stop until we need oxygen or my phone rings with some crisis. Your life sounds exhausting. It is. Come be exhausted with me anyway. They spent the rest of the morning on that mountain, kissing between conversations, learning each other's stories, building something fragile and precious. Hyunju told her about the pressure of leading an organization at 19, the loneliness of command, the constant vigilance required to stay alive. Lena shared her dreams of going back to school, maybe becoming a social worker, helping kids like she'd been. I'll pay for it, Hyunju said immediately. No. Lena, no. If we're doing this, whatever this is, I need to maintain some independence. I won't be a kept woman. I won't owe you. He looked frustrated, then nodded slowly. I understand, but let me help in other ways. You said your car is dying. Let me get you something reliable. Not new, not flashy, just safe. Hyunju, please, let me do this one thing. Not because you need rescuing, but because I need to know you're safe on LA roads. My mother would want it, he added with a slight smile. She's already planning our wedding. We kissed twice and she's planning a wedding? Korean mothers move fast. Also, she likes you better than me. I'm not even her favorite anymore. It's tragic, really. Lena laughed and the sound echoed across the mountain. Fine. A safe, reliable car. Nothing fancy. And I'm paying you back. Eventually. When I'm not broke. Deal. He stood, pulling her up with him. Now come on. I want to feed you the best Korean barbecue in LA, and I need to introduce you to my second in command before he thinks I've lost my mind. Have you? Lost your mind? Completely. But I've never been happier about it. The barbecue restaurant was in a strip mall in Koreatown, the kind of place where old Korean men played Go in the corner, and ajumas yelled orders in rapid Korean. Hyunju's presence caused an immediate shift. Not fear, exactly, but respect. Deference. People bowed slightly, moved out of his way, made space. They settled into a private booth in the back. Within minutes, a man appeared. Early 30s, built like a boxer, with sharp eyes that cataloged Lena in seconds. He spoke rapid Korean to Hyunju, who answered in the same language before switching to English. Lena Morrison, meet Kwon Jae-sung, my right hand, my oldest friend, and the only person who tells me when I'm being an idiot. Jae-sung extended his hand, his grip firm but not aggressive. Ms. Morrison, I've heard about you, the woman who fed Yamanim. Just Lena, please. And yes, that was me, though apparently it caused more trouble than I intended. Good trouble, Jae-sung said, settling beside Hyunju. Hyunju has been different since meeting you, almost human. I'm sitting right here. You're smiling, voluntarily, without a strategic reason. That's worth noting. Jae-sung turned back to Lena. He doesn't smile, hasn't really since his father died. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm not doing anything special. You're here. That's special enough. There was something protective in Jae-sung's expression. But I need to be straight with you. Our world is dangerous. People who get close to Hyunju become targets. You should know that before this goes further. Jae-sung, Hyunju's voice held a warning. No, she needs to hear this. From someone who isn't drunk on new relationship chemicals. He looked at Lena directly. Rival organizations will see you as leverage. Police might use you to get to him. And if anything goes wrong in our operations, you could become collateral damage. Are you prepared for that? Lena met his gaze steadily. I grew up in South Central. Watched my neighbors get shot in gang crossfire, had friends disappear into prison, saw what poverty and violence do to communities. So while your world might be different, I'm not naive about danger. That's not the same thing. You're right, it's not. Your violence is organized, has rules, offers some protection. Street violence is random and indiscriminate. At least in your world, there's structure, logic, a chance to negotiate. She leaned forward. So yes, I understand the risks. But I also understand that every choice has consequences. And I'm choosing to see where this goes. Jae-sung looked at Hyunju, eyebrows raised. She's smart. I approve. I'm so relieved, Hyunju said dryly. But his hand found Lena's under the table, squeezing gently. Now can we eat before Lena thinks my entire organization is full of dramatic pessimists? The meal was incredible. Meat sizzling on the table grill. Banchan appearing in endless waves, soju poured liberally. Lena watched Hyunju interact with Jae-sung, saw the genuine friendship beneath a professional relationship, the way they communicated in half sentences and looks, the obvious trust. How long have you two known each other? Lena asked. Since we were 8, Jae-sung answered. My family worked for his family. We grew up together, got in trouble together, took over operations together when his father died. He saved my life 3 times, Hyunju added, and I've saved his twice. We're bonded in blood, literally. 4 times, Jae-sung corrected. You forgot the warehouse situation in 2021. That was barely a situation. 2 guys with knives. 2 guys with knives who would have killed you if I hadn't been there. It counts. Watching them bicker like brothers, Lena felt something shift. This wasn't just a criminal organization. It was a family. Complicated, violent, morally gray, but still a family. People who looked out for each other, protected their own. As they finished eating, Hyunju's phone buzzed. His expression shifted immediately, pleasant to lethal in a heartbeat. He read the message, jaw clenching, then stood abruptly. I need to handle something. Jae-sung, take Lena home. Make sure she gets there safely. What's wrong? Lena asked. Business, nothing you need to worry about. But his eyes were cold, distant. The warmth from earlier completely gone. I'll call you later. He was gone before she could respond, leaving Lena with Jae-sung and a growing sense of unease. This was his reality. Interruptions, crises, the constant pull of his position. Does this happen a lot? Lena asked as Jae-sung drove her home in a different, expensive car. The sudden exits? Constantly. Our world doesn't pause for personal lives. Threats emerge, situations develop, and Hyunju has to respond immediately. It's the burden of leadership. Sounds lonely. It is, which is why I'm glad he found you. Someone outside our world, someone who sees him as a person, not a position. Just, Jae-sung glanced at her. Be patient with him. He's learning how to balance this, learning that it's okay to want things beyond the organization. What if he can't balance it? What if the organization always comes first? Then you'll have to decide if that's something you can live with. But between you and me, I've never seen him prioritize anything above the family business. Until you. So maybe there's hope. Hyunju didn't call that night. Or the next morning. Lena tried not to worry, tried to focus on her shift at the diner. But every time the door opened, she looked up hoping to see him. Rick was different now. Overly polite, almost nervous around her. Word had clearly spread about her connection to powerful people. Other staff treated her with new respect or suspicion. Regular customers whispered, "Girl, what did you do?" her coworker Carmen asked during their break. "Rick is terrified of you, and someone left this." She handed Lena an envelope. Inside was a key fob and a note in elegant handwriting. 2019 Toyota Camry. Reliable, safe, non-threatening to your independence. Parked in spot 23. Insurance and registration handled. Please don't argue. HJ Lena should have been angry. Should have marched out to the parking lot and… What? She couldn't exactly return the car when she didn't know where he was. And her Honda had finally died completely last night, leaving her to take 2 buses to work this morning. She texted, "You're impossible, and I'm not saying thank you." His response came immediately. "You just did, and you're welcome. I'm sorry for disappearing. Situation took longer than expected. Can I see you tonight?" "Maybe. If you explain what situation means, I will. I promise. Dinner at my place? I'll cook. You can interrogate me properly. You cook? I'm Korean. It's genetic. Plus, my mother taught me before she let me take over the family business. Said no son of hers would starve or depend on takeout." 7 p.m.? Lena looked at the car key in her hand, thought about his smile on the mountain, remembered the vulnerability in his voice when he talked about hope, thought about Jae-sung's words. Maybe there's hope. Fine, but I'm bringing dessert and wine and my pepper spray just in case your cooking is terrible. Deal. Address is 4750 Wilshire Penthouse. Security will have your name. Of course he lived in a penthouse. Of course there was security. Lena was entering a world so far removed from her reality, it might as well be another planet. But she was choosing to enter it, eyes open, understanding the risks. She used her lunch break to find the new car, a champagne-colored Camry that looked a few years old but immaculate. When she started the engine, it purred. No rattles, no concerning noises, just smooth reliability. There was another note on the passenger seat. "You're worth more than safety and reliability, but I promise not to be flashy. Next time, I'm getting you the Mercedes." HJ, despite herself, Lena smiled. The building was exactly what she expected. All glass and steel and money. The security guard checked her ID, made a call, then directed her to a private elevator. As it rose, Lena's nerves kicked in. She was going to a man's apartment, a man she'd known for less than a week, a man who admitted to killing people. But when the elevator opened directly into his penthouse, and Yeonju stood there in jeans and a t-shirt, cooking implement in hand, hair slightly mussed, looking boyish and uncertain, her fears evaporated. "Hi," he said softly. "You came? You bought me a car. Least I could do was show up for dinner." He stepped aside, letting her enter. The penthouse was unexpected. Yes, it was luxurious. Floor-to-ceiling windows, expensive furniture, art that probably cost more than her yearly salary. But it was also personal. Photos everywhere. His mother, a man who must be his father, him and Jae-sung as kids. Books covering one entire wall, a traditional Korean altar in the corner. This wasn't just where he lived. It was home. "You're surprised," Hyunju observed, watching her take it in. "I expected more. I don't know. Bachelor pad vibes? Giant TV? Black leather furniture? Possibly a stripper pole." He laughed, the sound filling the space. "I had that phase briefly at 21. My mother visited once, saw it, and threatened to disown me. This is the compromise." In the kitchen, he'd prepared a spread. Japchae, kimchi jjigae, grilled mackerel, rice, banchan. The air smelled incredible. He moved around the space with easy competence, plating food, adjusting seasonings, all while keeping up conversation. "So," Lena said, accepting the wine he poured, "tell me about the situation that made you disappear." Yeonju's expression shifted. "A rival organization tried to move product through our territory without permission. It required aggressive negotiations. Meaning? Meaning I had to make it very clear that boundary violations carry consequences. No one died," he added quickly, "but several people are currently rethinking their career choices. You hurt them. Yes, I won't lie to you about who I am or what I do. Violence is sometimes necessary in my world, but I'm not cruel. I don't enjoy it. It's just the language my world understands." Lena sipped her wine, processing. "How do you live with it? The violence, the moral gray areas, the constant threat." "Honestly, I don't think about it much anymore. It's just reality. Like you don't think about breathing. But lately, since meeting you, I've been thinking about it constantly, seeing my world through your eyes, wondering what it costs me to live this way. And what does it cost you?" He was quiet for a long moment, hands stilling over the food. Connection, intimacy, trust, the ability to let anyone truly close. Because everyone in my world wants something, and anyone not in my world would be horrified by what I do. So I exist in this space alone, surrounded by people but fundamentally isolated. Until your mother fed herself breakfast with change she'd been saving. Until you fed her. He looked up, eyes intense. Until I watched you sacrifice your job for basic human kindness. Until I realized that maybe, just maybe, someone could see past the organization to the person underneath. They ate slowly, talking between bites. Hyunju shared more about his father, a complicated man who'd built an empire, but never quite escaped the trauma of immigrating with nothing. About his mother, who'd wanted him to be a doctor, but accepted his path because she understood family obligation. About the weight of leading people, of making life and death decisions, of carrying responsibility for hundreds of families. My turn, Hyunju said eventually. Tell me about your dreams, not survival plans, dreams, the things you want that have nothing to do with making rent. Lena wasn't used to anyone asking. Most people in her life were too busy with their own survival to care about dreams. I want to go back to school, get my degree in social work. Then, I want to create something, maybe a community center, a place where kids who age out of foster care have resources, support, someone who understands. Because that's what you needed. Because that's what everyone needs. To be seen, to matter, to know that their existence has value beyond their utility. She met his eyes. That's what you did for your mother. Made her feel like she mattered. And that's what you're doing for me. Seeing me, not my circumstances, not my limitations. Just me. Hyunju set down his chopsticks, came around the table and pulled her to her feet. Lena Morrison, you are the most remarkable person I've ever met, and I am profoundly grateful that my mother was 47 cents short of breakfast. That's a weird thing to be grateful for. And yet, he cupped her face, thumbs brushing across her cheekbones. I want to build something with you. Something real. I don't know what it looks like yet. My world is complicated, and I won't subject you to anything you're not ready for. But Lena, I want to try. I want that too. But Hyunju, I need you to be honest. Can you actually do this? Have a relationship while running a criminal organization? Can you balance both? I don't know, he admitted, but I want to find out. And I promise you this, I won't lie. I won't hide who I am or what I do. If there's danger, I'll tell you. If I have to disappear for business, I'll explain why. No surprises, just truth. And if the truth is that this can't work, if your world and my need for stability can't coexist, pain flashed across his features. Then we'll face that together, make the decision together. But Lena, please, give us a chance. Let me prove that I can be both. The leader my organization needs and the partner you deserve. Lena looked into his eyes and saw everything. The danger, the devotion, the desperate hope. Saw a man who'd built walls around himself and was choosing to tear them down for her. Saw the risk and the possibility in equal measure. Okay, she whispered, let's try. But Hyunju, I need you to understand something. I won't be hidden. I won't be a secret you keep locked away in this penthouse. If we're doing this, I need to be part of your life, all of it. Even the dangerous parts? Especially those. Because if I'm a target anyway, I'd rather know it. Rather face it head on than live in ignorance. He kissed her then, deep and claiming and full of promise. And Lena kissed him back, pouring every complicated feeling into the contact. Fear and desire and hope and terror all tangled together. They moved to the couch, talking and kissing in equal measure. Hyunju told her about his responsibilities, his lieutenants, the careful balance of power that kept his organization stable. Lena shared her fears about being someone's weakness, about entering a world she didn't understand. You're not a weakness, Hyunju murmured against her hair. You're strength I didn't know I needed. Humanity I thought I'd lost. Hope I'd given up on finding. That's a lot to live up to. Then don't try. Just be yourself. The woman who feeds hungry old ladies and speaks her mind and challenges me to be better. That's enough. That's everything. They fell asleep tangled together on his couch, exhausted by emotion and honesty and the weight of choosing each other despite every logical reason not to. Lena woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. Hyunju sat at the kitchen island, already dressed in a suit, laptop open, phone pressed to his ear. He was speaking rapid Korean, his tone sharp, commanding. He glanced up, saw her awake, and his entire demeanor shifted. The cold businessman melted into warmth. He ended the call quickly, came to her, pressed coffee into her hands. "Good morning, beautiful. I made coffee, and there's breakfast. I have a meeting in an hour, but I can drop you home first, or you can stay. Whatever you prefer." "I have a shift at 11, Lena said, accepting the coffee. "But thank you for last night, for being honest." "Always." He kissed her forehead. "Lena, I need to tell you something. My mother wants to meet you, officially, for dinner, the full Korean family meal experience, which is both wonderful and terrifying." "When?" "Tonight, if you're free. She's cooking enough food to feed an army, and she's already decided you're going to be her daughter-in-law. So prepare for that level of intensity." "We've been dating less than a week, and your mother's planning our wedding?" "Korean mothers move at light speed when they find someone they approve of. And she loves you. Says you have good spirit and kind hands, and several other things I can't translate because they're very specifically Korean concepts about character." Despite her nervousness, Lena smiled. "Okay, tonight, but you're staying the whole time. No disappearing for business emergencies. I promise. Unless someone's actively dying, I'm yours all evening." He dropped her at her apartment in the new Camry, after she insisted repeatedly that she could drive herself. Stood at her door like he was physically unable to leave. "I'll pick you up at 6, he said, kissing her one more time. "You know I can drive myself now, right? You gave me a car specifically for that purpose." "I know, but I want to pick you up. Want to walk you to my mother's door. Want to show you off like the prize you are." "You're ridiculous. I'm in love with you." The words came out casual, matter of fact, like he was commenting on the weather. "I know it's fast. I know it's probably too soon to say it, but Lena, I learned after my father died that life is too short for pretense. So yes, I'm in love with you. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know." He was gone before she could respond, leaving Lena standing in her doorway, heart hammering, mind reeling, in love. After less than a week. It was insane, impossible, too fast. And yet, as she got ready for her shift, as she served coffee and smiled at customers, as she navigated her ordinary life, Lena realized something terrifying. She felt it too. This impossible, illogical, completely insane feeling. Like she'd been waiting her whole life to feed one hungry old woman so her dangerous, complicated, beautiful son could walk into her life and change everything. That night, sitting at Jia's table while Hyunju translated his mother's rapid Korean, and they all laughed over galbi and kimchi and stories about Hyunju as a child, Lena understood. Sometimes love doesn't make sense. Sometimes it just happens. And sometimes feeding one hungry person changes everything. "My son is good man," Jia said in careful English, taking Lena's hand. "Dangerous work, yes, but good heart, like you. You take care of him? If he takes care of me," Lena answered. Jia beamed, then unleashed another torrent of Korean. Hyunju laughed, translating, "She says perfect answer. She says you're smart and strong and exactly what I need. She says," he paused, color rising in his cheeks, "she says to hurry up and marry you before you realize you can do better." Lena looked at him. This dangerous, complicated man who'd turned her world upside down over scrambled eggs and kindness. At his mother, beaming with approval. At the life unfolding before her, terrifying and beautiful in equal measure. "Well," Lena said, squeezing both their hands, "I guess we better not keep her waiting."